ठीक है, तो ऐसे ही करना है।
Namaste all of you. This is JVN Praveen Kumar from Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences. Today I am here to give a lecture on or presentation on the topic anti-diabetic drugs, and the topic is from medicinal chemistry. So let's start the presentation. So first we will all start from the introduction. What are anti-diabetic drugs? These are the drugs which is used to treat the condition diabetes mellitus, in which they lower the blood glucose level by certain mechanism. With the exceptions of insulin and some other drugs, all are administered orally, and thus they are called oral hypoglycemic agents or oral anti-hypoglycemic agents. Means they lower down the blood glucose level when they are taken orally. Now, what is diabetes mellitus? Diabetes mellitus is commonly referred to as diabetes, and it is a group of metabolic disorders in which there are high blood glucose sugar levels over a prolonged period of time. Then what are the causes of diabetes? Diabetes is due to either the pancreas not producing enough insulin, or the cells of the body are not responding properly to the insulin produced by the body. Then comes the types of diabetes mellitus. In a broader way, the diabetes mellitus is categorized into three categories, that is type 1 diabetes mellitus, type 2 diabetes mellitus, and gestational diabetes. So let's discuss them one by one. Type 1 diabetes mellitus results from the pancreas failure to produce enough insulin due to loss of beta cells which produce insulin. This form was previously referred to as insulin dependent diabetes mellitus or juvenile diabetes, as it is normally found in smaller age group of people, and the cause of this is unknown. Second comes the type 2 diabetes mellitus, which begins with the insulin resistance, in which certain beta cells fail to respond to insulin properly. This form was previously referred to as non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus or adult onset diabetes, as it is commonly found in group of adults. The most common cause is a combination of excessive body weight and insufficient exercise. Then comes the last form of diabetes, that is gestational diabetes, which occurs when pregnant women without a previous history of diabetes develop high blood sugar levels, and this kind of diabetes is resolved as soon as the birth of baby. Next comes the prevention and treatment of diabetes mellitus. So diabetes mellitus type 1 can be managed with insulin injections, which they have to take in time to time. Second diabetes mellitus may be treated with medications with or without insulin. Insulin and some oral medications can cause low blood sugar levels. Weight loss surgery in people with suffering from obesity is sometimes an effective measure in type 2 diabetes mellitus. Gestational diabetes usually resolve after the birth of baby. Apart from this, the prevention and treatment also involve maintaining a healthy diet, regular physical exercise, a normal body weight, and avoiding use of tobacco. Control of blood pressure and maintaining proper foot care are also important. Next, we will discuss the classification of anti-diabetic drugs. In a broader way, the anti-diabetic drugs can be classified into 6 classes, which are as follows. First, insulin. Second, biguanides. Third, thiazolidinediones. Fourth, sulfonylurea. Fifth, meglitinides. And sixth, alpha glucosidase inhibitors. In which first insulin is, as we know, insulin is needed by your body to low down the blood glucose levels. Then biguanide and thiazolidinediones are insulin cell sensitizers, means they sensitize the cells which are resistant to insulin, so that they take up the glucose from the bloodstream and use accordingly. Sulfonylurea and meglitinides are secretagogues, means they induce the cells to take up the insulin, and they induce the beta cells of the body to secrete insulin. Now, alpha glucosidase inhibitors, they act by slowing down the digestion of starch, so that glucose comes in the bloodstream slowly. Now let's discuss one by one all classes of drugs. First, insulin. Insulin is usually given subcutaneously, either by injection or by insulin pump. Now the question comes, how insulin works in our body. When insulin is injected in body, it acts on receptors which are present on skeletal muscles, fatty tissues, liver, cardiac muscles and leukocytes, and form an insulin receptor complex. The insulin receptor complex formed induces the sugar of blood to be converted into glycogens in insulin sensitive tissues. As a result, more glycogen is produced in the body and the blood sugar level is lowered down. Now comes the second class of drugs, biguanide. Biguanides are insulin sensitizers, means they address the core problem in diabetes 2 mellitus, that is insulin resistance. The mechanism of action is not clearly understood, but some hypotheses or proposed mechanisms are there for the class of biguanides. These are as follows. Biguanides causes a reduction in gastrointestinal absorption of glucose, that is the glucose absorbed by GI tract. Second, they stimulate the anaerobic glycolysis. Third, they inhibit the process of gluconeogenesis, means they inhibit the process of formation of glucose in body. Fourth, they stimulate the tissues to take up the glucose, so that the cells utilize the glucose from the blood stream and make the level of glucose in the blood low. Fifth, they make a reduction in hepatic glucose production, so that your body produces less amount of glucose. And last, they increase insulin receptor binding, so that more insulin binds to the receptor and use the glucose present in the bloodstream. Then comes the third class of drugs, that are thiazolidinediones. They are also known as glitazones, and they are also insulin sensitizers. Then how thiazolidinediones work? Thiazolidinediones act on PPAR gamma receptors, that is peroxisome proliferator activity receptors. As a result, they act on peroxisome proliferator responsive elements, PPRE, and which influence insulin sensitive genes to enhance production of mRNAs of insulin dependent enzymes. Lastly, the result which they cause is better use of glucose by the cells. Fourth class of drugs is sulfonylurea. Sulfonylurea, that is they are secretagogues, the drugs that increase insulin output from the pancreas cells. Sulfonylureas, when They act on sulfonylurea receptors that are SUR1 on the pancreatic beta cell membrane. They cause depolarization by reducing conductance of ATP sensitive K plus potassium channels. As a result, they enhance calcium influx, which causes degranulation. As a result of degranulation, the rate of insulin secretion is increased and at any glucose concentration, and the blood glucose level is lowered down. Fifth class of drug is meglitinides. Meglitinides help the pancreas to produce insulin and are often called short-acting secretagogues. They act on same potassium channels as sulfonylureas but at a different binding site. By closing the potassium channels of pancreatic beta cells, they open the calcium channels and thereby enhances insulin secretion. So we can see that meglitinides and sulfonylureas act similarly, but the difference is the binding site at different potassium channels. Adverse reactions of meglitinides includes weight gain and hypoglycemia. There comes the last class of anti-diabetic drugs, that is alpha glucosidase inhibitors. Alpha glucosidase inhibitors are also called diabetes pills, but they are not technically hypoglycemic agent because they do not have a direct effect on insulin secretion or sensitivity. These agents slow down the digestion of starch in the small intestine so that the glucose from the starch of a meal enters the blood streams more slowly and the glucose level is maintained under the respective value. These agents are effective by themselves only in the earliest stages but can be helpful in combination with other agents in diabetes 2 mellitus. So that's all for the class of anti-diabetic drugs. Thank you.